Good day, Bronco fans, and welcome to another edition of the Bronco Sports Weekly. I'm Sean Fagan. We've got a lot to cover from this past weekend, so let's get right to it. The cross-country team was in Muncie this past weekend, capturing the championship at the 2011 Cardinal Invitational, hosted by Ball State. 4 of the top 5 performers for the Broncos were in the top 10 overall, including Amber Brunmeyer, whose time of 22:05.1 put her in first place overall. Rachel Whitley was second overall at 22:27. Jerisha Tucker took 4th overall, and Aisha Hodge finished 9th. Women's soccer had a big weekend at home, besting their in-state rivals Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan by 1-0 scores at the WMU Soccer Complex. On Friday, the Broncos handed the Chippewas their first conference loss of the season, with Brittany Pavlica knocking home the game winner at 32-33. Pavlica would strike again on Sunday, scoring the game winner in double overtime against the Eagles. Michelle Watson made 10 saves on the weekend. Volleyball was out on the road this past weekend, putting up a pair of 3-0 victories over Buffalo and Akron. In the third set against Akron, Jessica Brown hit an important career milestone, notching her 1,000th career kill in the win. Tara Norris added 2 more double-doubles to her team-leading total, and Ali Gossen added another as well. The Broncos have 3 matches this week, all of them in University Arena. 12th-ranked Bronco hockey earned a hard-fought pair of ties on the road this past weekend, going toe-to-toe with 11th-ranked Union in upstate New York. Neither team was able to get the upper hand in either game, with the Broncos and the Dutchmen tying 2-2 on Friday and 3-3 on Saturday. Greg Squires led the team in goals for the weekend with 2, both of which came on Friday. Men's soccer got 2 late goals on Sunday as the Broncos upended Buffalo at the WMU Soccer Complex for the Broncos' first conference win of the season. Kai Mendez scored in the 79th minute to tie the score at 1-1, and Jarrett Kirsten scored the game-winning goal in the final seconds. The Broncos will take on Northern Illinois later this week. Finally, folks, Broncos women's golf will hit the links one final time in the fall season as they travel to Bloomington for the Indiana Fall Invitational. The Broncos finished 6th overall at the Hoosiers Spring Invite last season. And now let's take a look at some of the video highlights from this past weekend. Women's soccer hosting Central Michigan on Friday. The Broncos got great goaltending from Michelle Watson here at 17:34. Watson going to stop Ashley Magillo with the save. At 32-33, Brittany Pavlica streaking down the left side. She gets the goal. She puts the Broncos up 1-0 going into halftime. Watson would make that lead stand up. The Chippewas would threaten in the 80th minute. Watson going to make the stop off the corner kick from Claire Horton, and the Broncos would win 1-0. Men's soccer hosting Buffalo on Sunday at the WMU Soccer Complex. The two teams very evenly matched. Pat Schiffer trying to get the Broncos on the board at the end of the first half, but the two teams would go into half scoreless. Buffalo leading 1-0 now early in the second half, and Joey Merlo robbed by Sean Lewis in front of the net. The Broncos would still have a prayer. In the 73rd minute, Kai Mendez going to curl this one into the net, and the Broncos would tie the score at 1-1. It was a gusty day in Kalamazoo, and Jarrett Kirsten said he's going to cut through the wind. Kirstens with his goal, he gives the Broncos the 2-1 lead with less than a minute remaining. The Broncos would win the game 2-1, their first MAC win of the season. Women's soccer looking to close the weekend out on a high note, hosting the Eastern Michigan Eagles. This one would be scoreless throughout much of the game, but not without its chances. Stephanie Skineski getting robbed on that play in the first half, and a little bit later in the second half, Skineski going to put this one just over the crossbar. Michelle Watson was stellar on the other end for the Broncos, making save after save, including that one on Katie Marsh. And a little bit later in the half, stopping this odd angle shot from Eastern's Stephanie Clark. Into double overtime now, still scoreless. Brittany Pavlica in the front of the net, her second game-winning goal of the weekend. The Broncos defeat the Eagles by a score of 1-0. All right, I am now joined by Western Michigan volleyball player Ali Gossen. Ali is a sophomore outside hitter for the Broncos. She was named to the MAC All-Freshman team last season, and this season has been a key contributor for the Broncos as a sophomore. And the Broncos just picked up 2 wins this past weekend against Buffalo and Akron. Ali, welcome to Bronco Sports Weekly.
Thank you.
All right, so as we mentioned, 2 wins over Buffalo and Akron this past weekend, 2 wins on the road in what is pretty much the longest conference road trip every 2 years,
yeah.
quite frankly. So tell us a little bit about what you and the team did to combat the fact that you were in the bus for well over 1,000 miles this weekend?
I think definitely during preseason with Virginia and traveling 12 hours for that on the way back, which was unplanned, but that was a long ride. But just, bringing stuff to do, definitely. Staying focused and then using the bus ride and separating that from actually playing was huge.
Now, you're a good student, and most of the players on the team are very good students, so I imagine that a lot of homework being done back there, just trying to find some way to find a normal routine.
Exactly, and as much as you don't want to do homework on the bus, it does pass time pretty quickly. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I was telling you before the interview that I'm a short person, and I was struggling to get comfortable on the bus, and I can only imagine what you girls, upwards of 6 feet tall or thereabouts, going, oh my God, they've got to be miserable right now.
You do get cramped up, and actually Rochelle slept on the floor. She laid out on the floor, so just whatever you can do to get comfortable.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the actual matches then. What were some of the things you worked on this past weekend in getting ready for these opponents?
Definitely confidence was a huge thing, just going into the game knowing that we could succeed. So we worked on that in practices and going hard for everything, not giving up on a single point. Everything mattered. It wasn't just, the first 5 points or the finishing of the game. It was every single point.
Mental toughness did seem like something the coaches were really harping on in the practices before telling the team to fight. I believe that was the catchphrase.
Yes, definitely.
So when you look at those teams, Buffalo and Akron, was there any challenge in getting up for those? When you look at the records of the two teams, they weren't all that good, but as we saw this past weekend, they're definitely better than their records indicated.
Definitely, yeah. I think just going in with the attitude that anybody at any given day can beat anybody. Sure, they didn't have a great record, but we knew that they were going to be more defensive-driven teams, and they might dig more of the balls that we hit at them, but just staying focused with that, because if you let up, there's a chance that you come out with a loss.
One of the things we've seen over the course of the season and just in general is that for whatever reason, home court advantage really does play a big part in volleyball, and playing on the road is a challenge. It
is, yeah, definitely. And, just getting used to the gym during the practice before the match is huge, and seeing how the ball moves and how big the, arena and everything else is. Buffalo had a huge area to play in, whereas Akron was much smaller. So just getting used to those different things really helps out.
Okay, so coming into this season, you were obviously MAC all-freshman team last year, but the Broncos lost 3 players from last season's team, 3 seniors. How did you step up into sort of that leadership vacuum, or just sort of that program, I guess I should say the actual gameplay?
I think we all knew that, there were people leaving and there were spots to be filled, and during the spring there were only 7 of us. So everybody played all the way around. Last year I didn't play any defense, so that was something I really worked on during the spring, and just knowing that we didn't have the bodies for people not to be leaders out there. So I think that was just a huge growing period for that.
How about stepping into the various roles that were now misplaced, or displaced, I should say? Allison Doyle, for example, was a big part of the offense last year. Now all of a sudden, you're picking up the slack in that position. Jill Askew is picking up the slack in that position. What was the mindset coming into the season?
I think, really, I used to play right side and Jill used to be outside, so we kind of flip-flopped, which is funny, but just figuring out that we had roles to fill and we knew that we had to get the job done. We have 11 girls. There's not a lot of wiggle room. So just knowing that, there wasn't that option, going hard every time.
Yeah, it was funny going into that spring season with only the 7 girls, and then even just 11 coming into this season. It was, the question was, is this girl going to get playing time? Will that girl get playing time? The answer is they're all going to play.
Everybody's going to play, exactly.
Everybody's going to play. So just looking ahead at this week, tonight you open things up with Marquette this week, and then you have Ohio and Kent State coming into town. Tell us a little bit about Marquette, a very good team from the Big East.
Right, a very good team, and it's going to be different playing on a weekday instead of a weekend. You have class and you have to adjust to that, but same mindset, just go in, focus before the game, get ready, do our pregame routines and meal and everything like that. And then for this weekend, Ohio is always strong, and Kent State also, so just really staying focused on that and doing what we've worked on, the confidence and the fight, and just continuing our success from this past weekend.
All right, well, hey, best of luck to you this week, Allie, and go Broncos.
Thank you.
All right, folks, let's take a look at 5 things to watch this week. Number 5, a quick shout out to baseball. They're having their annual Brown and Gold World Series over at Robert Bobb Stadium. The series will continue throughout the week, so maybe you can get your baseball fix if you're not too broken up over the Tigers, that is. Number 4, if you're a hockey fan and you enjoy staying up late, well, you're in luck. Bronco hockey heading to Alaska for a pair of games against Alaska Fairbanks this weekend, with the puck dropping at 11:05 p.m. for both contests. Broncos are 2-0-2 so far this season, entered the week ranked 12th in the nation. Both games will be on the Bronco Radio Network, so put on your pajamas and maybe make an extra cup of coffee. Number 3, men's soccer will travel for a key conference game on Wednesday, taking on Northern Illinois. They'll return on Saturday for a home game against Eastern Illinois. Apparently it is Directional Illinois School Week at Western Michigan. It's Student Appreciation Day on Saturday when the Broncos take on the Panthers. Women's soccer also has 2 road MAC games at Bowling Green and at Miami, a couple very important games for all involved. Number 2, football will try to rebound after last week's loss to Northern Illinois when they head to Ypsilanti to take on Eastern Michigan. See, what is it about the directional schools this week? Kickoff scheduled for 1 p.m. The Broncos already have a win over another in-state rival this season, look to complete the Michigan sweep against the Eagles. And number 1, if you're looking to catch Bronco volleyball at University Arena, this would be the perfect week to do it. The Broncos will host 3 matches at home this week, starting tonight when Marquette comes to town. Ohio University and Kent State will make the trek to Kalamazoo on Friday and Saturday night, respectively. The Broncos 16-5 overall this season, 6-2 in conference play. And that's going to do it for us this week on the Bronco Sports Weekly. Hopefully you'll join us again next week, same Bronco time, same Bronco place.
I'm Mohamed Kante, a senior in the Western Michigan men's basketball team and an exercise science major. My teammate helped me to embrace who I am, to just accept me for not judging me for me being from a different cultural background and just coming in. Then they make me feel like I am home, they welcome me, and that helped me a lot. I am a Bronco and I am the power of gold.